Anytime.
Welcome to this October 17th, September 3rd, 2025 Design Review Commission meeting. Mr. Secretary, can we do a roll call, please?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Case?
Here.
Commissioner Riley?
Here.
Vice Chair Basting?
Here.
Chair Newsom?
I am here.
We have quorum.
Okay, so consent calendar. Is there anything on the consent calendar? Do we propose to move anything to the consent calendar?
Staff has no recommendations.
All right, let's move on. Now we're going to move on to public communications. Okay, this is for items which are not on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the Commission cannot act on items raised during public communications, but may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed, request clarifications, or to refer an item to staff. So nobody's here to talk about anything beyond items on the agenda, I assume? Excellent. Then we'll move on. So we're getting ready to start the public hearing. So has anybody had any ex parte communications? No?
On either of the items.
No.
Excellent. We move on. So now we're going to open the public hearing. And the first item on the public hearing is the Olympia Place Master Sign Program Amendment. Does staff have a presentation? Looks like you do.
Yes. Good evening, Commissioners. Simmer Gill, Senior Planner with the City. We are here tonight to consider the Master Sign Program Amendment for the Olympia Place Shopping Center. The applicant representing this project, Michael Piazzolla, is here tonight, as am I, to answer any questions that you may have after the presentation. And just to quickly orient you with the site, the Olympia Place Shopping Center is located along multiple frontages. The site is zoned planned development with a general plan designation of pedestrian retail. The existing shopping center does have a master sign program that applies to all of the buildings within the center. The existing master sign program that was established does have different sign criteria tailored for each building frontage and tenant location within the shopping center. The request tonight is to amend the master sign program for signage along Mount Diablo Boulevard. So tonight, the applicant is requesting to update the sign criteria for 6 specific tenant spaces that are listed on this slide, and these are all along Mount Diablo Boulevard. The applicant is requesting to replace the existing wall-mounted business identification sign with a new canopy-mounted illuminated channel letter signage, and also replace the existing fabric blade signs with new non-illuminated metal blade signs. The amendment before you tonight does apply only to these designated spaces. And all of the other tenant spaces within the shopping center will continue to follow the criteria in the existing sign program. And the applicant did mention that the amendment is intended basically to modernize the property signage, providing a more contemporary and integrated design with some of the recent changes to the shopping center fronting Mount Diablo Boulevard, which was a new paint scheme, and also to replace the fabric awnings with metal canopies. And here is what the existing wall sign location along Mount Diablo looks like currently. It's signage is allowed on the upper portion of the facade, and it is for these specific locations. It's identified as sign type B. So the applicant is asking to remove the upper portion location. As you can see, that sign or logo that's installed on the existing storefront. It's very high, so they want something that's more eye level and want it installed on the new metal canopy that will replace the fabric awnings. And each sign does measure 2 feet 3 inches in height with a sign area of approximately 21 square feet. Graphics limited to tenant names and logos will be allowed on these sign faces. And here is the existing fabric blade signs that you see currently within that shopping center. And there's a photo of an actual one that's there now. The applicant is proposing to update those again because the existing ones are worn out and outdated. So the new metal that will be painted satin black will have vinyl graphics, white vinyl graphics and letterings, and they will be non-illuminated and meet the sign limitations, which is 4.5 square feet is typically allowed for blade signs, so they'll stay within that parameter. And this project is exempt from CEQA or environmental review, as it's only a change in signage criteria to an existing commercial shopping center. There's no expansion of the footprint or any exterior changes that would require any need of environmental review. And with that, staff does recommend that the Design Review Commission approve the Master Sign Program Amendment for Olympia Place, subject to the conditions of approval in Attachment 1, which is the draft resolution for this project. And I'm happy to answer any questions, as is the applicant. The applicant does not have a formal presentation, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one, and it's just out of curiosity.
Speak around.
So it's only the signs along Mount Diablo that are changing. Why is it only those signs?
That's a really good question. I would probably defer that to the applicant, but I believe because of the existing outdated fabric awnings, that's more on this end, on the Mount Diablo frontage.
Okay.
If you look on Locust, most of those are already metal canopies.
Okay, and so is the intent to, since the signs that aren't part of this are by the other standards, the existing standards, there's going to be visual cohesion between the new signs and the old signs? Because it seems like the old signs are under different standards, or am I misunderstanding that?
As I believe I presented that on the slide, and it's also part of your packet, but the shopping center is differentiated between, like, each frontage has different type of sign types. Like the sign type B only applies to the tenant spaces on the Mount Diablo frontage.
Okay.
We're replacing the sign type B with B1, which is now the metal canopy signage.
Okay.
And the other frontages all have specific criteria, which is, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it's like sign type C, sign type A, so it's different. So that would not be affected because of this change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else? No more questions? Public comment? Do we have any public comment on this? None noted. So do we have any commissioner comments? Well, I'll just say, I drive down that street all the time. I think this is going to be a positive thing. I think I know there's a lot of struggles with those businesses staying open. I think it'll be a good project. So that's my comment. Do we take a vote then? Let's do a vote. Or can I have a movement here? I can have a motion, please, to vote.
I'll move to adopt the resolution approving the Master Sign Program Amendment for Olympia Place, subject to the conditions of approval contained therein.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Case?
Yes.
Commissioner Besting?
Yes.
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Chair Newsom?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, very good. So let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the Sierra Garden multifamily residential affordable apartments. Does staff have a presentation for that?
Yes, give me a moment.
Okay. Take your time.
She's busy tonight.
Okay, I'm back. Simmer Gill, Senior Planner with the city, and We are here tonight to consider Design Review Commission's input on the proposed design of the Sierra Garden multifamily development that will be located at 150 Sierra Drive. The applicant, Jonathan, I hope they're here. Jonathan Asman is, sorry, I was looking for you. Jonathan Asman is here tonight, as am I, to answer any questions that you may have after this presentation. And just to provide some site context, the site is zoned planned development with a general plan designation of multifamily, very high density. And this site is located within the city's housing inventory site table, which essentially means that the city envisions development or more housing on this parcel. The site is 1.4 acres, and there are existing 1 to 2 story structures that consist of a 29-unit development. And here are photos of the surrounding area as well as the project site. Let's see, I wanted to highlight both of the adjacent properties to the north and south are multifamily development. They are, I believe, 2 stories, and the one directly across the way to the west is a 3-story multifamily development. And as you drive further down north, there are residential properties, single-family homes. So the request tonight is to demolish the existing 29-unit structures to construct the new 6-story, 87-unit affordable development. The project does consist of a mix of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units. New landscaping is proposed, and 58 new surface parking stalls are proposed. There is a request for tree removals and a drip line encroachment permit. This project is being processed under the State's Housing Accountability Act, State Density Bonus Law, which the applicant is requesting 4 waivers and 2 concessions to the city's development standards, which I'll go into more in the next slide, or in the upcoming slides. So I wanted to highlight that tonight Design Review Commission's role is essentially to provide feedback, that initial look of the project, on the design of the new development, the requested tree removals and drip line encroachment permits, as well as the requested waivers under state density bonus law. However, the approving body or the body that will consider these entitlements or approval will be the Planning Commission. As mentioned earlier, this project is being processed under the Housing Accountability Act, also known as SB 330, which essentially limits the city's review if the project meets all of the applicable objective standards. The project does fall within that criteria, as is a residential project with multiple housing units. And the project is consistent with the city's objective standards as well as the city's design standards. And just to go over the base density for this project, it is a 1.4 acre site. Again, the multifamily very high density range is 42 to 70 dwelling units per acre, which essentially equals to 99 units as the base density for this project. It is a 100% affordable project. The applicant is entitled to a 80% increase in density, which would then give them 79 additional bonus units. And if they were to build with the 79 bonus units, they could have essentially 178 units that are allowed for this site. The applicant is building 87 units, and that does comply with the zoning and the base density of the general plan. 4 waivers are requested from the city's development standards that would physically preclude feasibility of the housing development or result in a loss of units. And 2 concessions are requested as well. And here's a list of the development standards and what the city's requirements are, as well as what is being proposed tonight. I think this is all explained in the staff report, but I'm happy to answer any questions after the presentation if we need to go over any of these. And here is the existing site plan. As you can see, there's multiple structures on site and the access off of Sierra Drive. The access essentially remains the same. There are no frontage improvements or changes to the existing sidewalk. On here, you could see the red is the turnaround for fire access, as well as the parking stalls and towards the back of the site. And here is the proposed ground floor, which is essentially the first floor. Again, this shows as you enter from the middle of the site into the lobby, they have the mail pickup area. There's also a trash trash enclosure area that's inside the building. Offices, as well as utility and laundry room, as well as a community room that will be for the residents, and it opens up to the garden the proposed garden area and existing pool and towards the back of the site. And here is the material palette, which does include fiber cement plank siding, vertical batten panels, metal screens, and storefront glazing. That's adding texture and color to the building. The architectural vision for the Sierra Garden apartment uses natural inspiration, and the building's massing, as shown here, is resembling rolling hills, and the tower elements. The intent behind that is to have at the key corners designed to look like a cluster of trees. I believe the applicant does have a presentation tonight, so I'll let them go more into the details of the design. And here is the south elevation. This is essentially the primary entrance is located on this elevation, but it is facing the side, so it's not facing the street. However, the entry door is visible. The main entrance is visible from the street. And here is the north elevation. This it's the rear of the project of the building, but as you see the way it's oriented, it's the side. So for the purposes of setbacks, that's the side elevation. But for if you look at the building, this is the rear of the site. And here is the west elevation. This is street facing, and this is what I mentioned earlier. It features that rounded corner element tower, and the same similar design elements at the other elevations. It's applying the same elements. And there is a landscape setback. 15 feet is required from the front property line to where the building should be located. I believe the project is providing 30 to 40 feet, and it's to create this landscape setback, really providing a transition between the sidewalk and the new building. And here is the east elevation. This acts as, and this is looking to the back of the site, so which is the rear of the site. The ground floor storefront system, it connects the community center that opens up and connects to the outdoor garden, pool, and the amenities that are located to the back of the site. And here's just a closer look at the view of the entrance from Sierra Drive. And as part of this project, the applicant is requesting tree removals. So all of the 17 trees on site will be removed for the proposed construction. Many of these trees are undersized, meaning in the city's tree preservation ordinance, a tree that's 9 inches or greater is considered a tree and requires a tree removal permit. So some of these trees were in poor health, so the city arborist was able to approve the removal, and all of the undersized trees are allowed to be removed without a permit. So then the remaining 4 trees that are circled here in red, they are, the species is Siberian elm, plum, and palm, and the privet tree. They do require planning commission or the highest approving body approval to consider the removal of these trees. The project is also working within the drip line of several neighboring trees, and I've highlighted these with the green star. All of these trees will be protected and placed during construction. And the tree that's tree number 393 that is on the neighbor's property to the south property line. And that does require the authorization from the adjacent neighbor in order to remove the tree. However, the city arborist does support the removal, given that it's located near the emergency vehicle access. And because it's required, that area is required for emergency vehicle access, the city arborist can support the removal of that. And here is the proposed landscaping. 5-gallon shrubs, grasses, stormwater plantings are proposed, as well as 42 new trees which are listed on this slide. There's a number of trees and different types of species ranging in size from 24-inch box to 36-inch box trees, as well as 3 street trees. And here's a closer look at the landscaping plan. The design does retain the existing pool in the rear. And the key site improvements include permeable paving in the parking areas, a new pool deck, a resident garden planters, play areas, and seating benches. And landscaped open spaces are connecting with the garden, the pool, and are enclosed by the proposed perimeter wood fencing that will be along the side and rears of the property. And here's just a look at the proposed site lighting. As required in the city's design standards and guidelines, all light fixtures shall be directed downwards or shielded so the light doesn't trespass onto adjacent properties. This image shows all of the proposed lighting, and there are several light poles that are proposed as well. And with that, staff does recommend that the Design Review Commission provide comments on the proposed site design, the building plans, the landscaping plan, as well as the tree removal requests, and provide a recommendation to the Planning Commission on the design, the requested waivers, as well as the tree removals. With that, I do conclude my presentation, but I wanted to state for the record, staff did receive, I believe, 5 letters from neighboring properties, mostly in opposition of the project, citing density, like a dense project, some traffic impacts, and other similar type of comments. A copy of all of those letters have been provided to all of you tonight. I wasn't able to address each letter line by line, but that is the purpose of our Planning Commission staff report. When the approving body or the body that would consider the project would want an analysis on each piece that's been raised by either the Design Review Commission or the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, folks? I guess we have a presentation.
The
by
applicant
the
has a
applicant.
presentation, yes.
Let's
Okay,
go ahead with that.
thank you.
Thank you.
I just advanced here. Okay. Hi, I'm Jonathan Asteman, Director of Development at Satellite Affordable Housing Associates. I'll take a couple minutes, 2.5 minutes, to describe SAHA and the building program, and then hand it over to Pedram to dive into the design. Satellite Affordable Housing Associates, or SAHA, is a nonprofit developer, owner, and manager of affordable housing. We're based in Berkeley and operate mostly in the East Bay. We have a long presence in Walnut Creek with Casa Montego and Montego Place on La Casa Villa, across from John Muir Medical. A smaller development, Acalanes Court, just west of downtown on Trinity Ave. And our most recent development is Arboleda on 3rd Avenue. It's about a block west of North Main. Completed in 2015. This is what it looks like. Arboleda serves families and a few different special needs populations. I didn't squeeze it on the slide, but it includes a couple units for people living with HIV/AIDS. Why is this project needed? 2 main reasons. The first reason is the existing apartments are functionally obsolete. The 29 mostly smaller units at Sierra Garden were built in phases beginning in 1948. We acquired the property and completed a moderate rehab in 95, 30 years ago. And the second reason is the acute need for affordable housing in affluent areas of coastal California. As we all know, this is a large site, 1.4 acres, an underutilized site in a very desirable city, just east of the downtown with all its amenities. This site is a screamer. You can't buy sites like this one. So we propose, as Simmer mentioned, to exactly triple the amount of housing on site from 29 homes to 87. This chart just gives you a sense of who will live here. So for example, income-wise, so for example, a family of four would be earning $48,000 to $96,000. And then this gives you a sense of rents. The actual rents will be lower than these figures because an estimate of the monthly PG&E bill, PG&E electric bill for each home will be netted out from these gross numbers. And I'll pass it to Pedram Farashbandi, principal with David Baker Architects. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan. Hello, everybody. Pedram Farashbandi, principal at David Baker Architects. We've done over 15,000 dwelling units, and we've never worked in Walnut Creek, so I thought I'd give you a little bit of a preview. Out of all those units, we always choose to show this photo because not only it shows two of our projects framing San Francisco City Hall, but what's really powerful about this image, it shows two of our projects. One is a high-end condo, the other one is supportive housing, and a lot of people cannot tell which one is what. And that's because we apply the same design lens and care to every project, regardless of the affordability level. These are our core design principle and philosophy. It's essentially about designing around the human experience and how they connect to a place. And sustainability also is a big part of our practice and betting on the future. And especially with affordable housing, we try to do more with less. So Samir explained all this, so I'm just going to skip these. These are the data of the project, where it is. It's basically right at the edge of the buffer and the more residential part of the city. 29 homes in multiple buildings, a big parking, basically, lot. So what we did, it's a very difficult site because it's very narrow on the street frontage and opens up. We need to bring the fire truck access to the site, so that made it really challenging. But also, it's an opportunity to have the largest gap possible between the more low-rise end of the site to the street. So we have over 120 feet on one end and almost 300 feet on the other end distance between the building and the edge of the property. As Samir explained, we're bookending the whole massing with these organic forms, and then define the entry with some screens and perforated metals, and then have a base background material that is durable, which is also essential for affordable housing projects. The site is, that a large portion of it is parking because we have surface parking, but we made sure these are permeable pavers, so it really helps with the drainage and the overall site diagram. I want to point out to this open air entry that it's essentially what it is. It's open air. We have planting, breathing into the lobby. That also happens on the upper floors. So you can see the ground floor, and then on the upper floors, we also keep that openness. So you come out of the elevator, so that helps you orient where you are in the project and also have access to light at every floor. The entry experience, you always can see multiple materials when you look at the project, regardless of the angle. The bookend is, you can see the organic form on one end and then the background material. The windows facing south will have a perforated sunshade. And in terms of materials, I'm going to explain some of these materials. It's one thing I want to point out is this random batten siding that we pioneered in the office. It's essentially hardy panels with hardy trims nailed onto it that creates this exciting and textured material that is also affordable and durable. So this is our bookend material. The entry is also marked with these perforated layered screen that also comes in front of the open stair that we had that also marks the entry. This is an example of a project we recently finished on the Colosseum BART. As you stand on the sidewalk, you can see the entry and the perforated mesh. As you enter the site, you can see the screen covering the open air lobby on the upper floors and the ground floor, and wraps on the bike room. And also this through view into the lobby and beyond. And the back, we're gonna restore the pool and have the community room that opens to this beautiful garden that is nicely landscaped. And I want to finish with the fire diagram, because it's a very difficult site. In order to bring the fire truck access all the way to the end, it's really limit, and explain why we put the building where we put it. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes, I do have a question. Is the resident garden, are those like rentable plots and the residents can, apply to maintain one, or is there like a minimum level of care that will go into that? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, it's usually something that we believe it creates community. It's something that the residents, take. It's usually there is a committee that whoever is interested will be in charge of it, and it's something to bring the community together. But yes, it's usually run by the residents, and the property management will have an oversight on it. I'll let Jonathan to explain it a little bit more.
From what I've heard from our resident services team, there hasn't been a building where there's not enough space in a waiting list. You could give someone a little more or less space, but not everyone's interested, and usually there's enough space for everyone to get a plot to grow herbs or vegetables.
Okay. And have you guys considered things like, I don't know, outdoor gathering spaces that aren't just playgrounds and a pool? Or is this really the primary programming you feel like people want in these environments?
We went through a number of conceptual designs. Several of them had like almost no outdoor space. And what we really like with the 6-story version is we actually have like dirt, and I don't know if we could zoom in, but they're actually, maybe you could describe the, yeah, you asked about like informal kind of hangout places. There are areas there. Patram could point them out, including like shaded under the.
Yeah, so, we have what is marked as community room that really opens to that covered but outdoor space. So that's that flexible outdoor area that also, it's buffered with the landscape. So that's basically the area that is for outdoor. But we also wanted to have the resident garden that is also very flexible. So depending on how much interest you get, you may add or deduct the planting bed in that area.
Okay. Those are my questions for the moment.
You guys have any questions? Maybe let's take a look at the elevations, if you can. What could you explain for me how? Obviously, great renderings or great photographs that you provided. That kind of variegated siding. Where does that occur?
So what you see as a darker material is that random batten siding. So the bookends, essentially, where you see it a lot, it has that premium material.
And then everything in white is basically just horizontal, RD plank,
Yes.
right? All. Maybe let's look at the side elevation a bit.
Samir, I don't have the actual
okay,
elevations.
that's all right.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so everything that's more or less in white it's all horizontal
That's right.
white siding, right?
Yeah.
And then the kind of gray in the middle is,
That's the screen.
that's the perf screen, and then you have the green block, which is, I can't read that. That's just green.
It's also fiber cement panel.
Yeah, yeah. And then, going back to the site plan, I mean, let's just maybe, just as a context, talk about what is around it. Matt, I just recall most of what's around this. Maybe there was one that was more of a Google view. That's fine. I mean, is what I'm looking at to the north of that block, that's apartments, right?
That's right.
In 2 stories.
Yeah,
And to the right, that's all single-story residential?
right.
Okay. And then what about on the bottom?
Those are also apartments.
Those are all apartments and
Yeah.
all more or less 2.5 stories, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe
That-
they're talk on their parking and 2 stories of apartment under.
That's it for now. And I mean, there was one thing Simmer said that I thought was interesting. I mean, you guys did look at units as many as 178 units on this side or more?
That's right. So
Right.
all what is now landscape used to be buildings, and
Yeah.
then it was essentially too big of a building. So
Yeah.
talking to Jonathan in terms of management and what's appropriate for this building, we made the building smaller.
Would you say that there's more landscaping and more open space now than there is currently? More or less, or about the same?
If you don't count the parking and the driveway as open space, there is more usable open space.
Mm-hmm. And how about, what is the parking now on the site versus what is proposed?
Jonathan, how many parking you have right now?
I don't recall offhand. I could follow up with that info in the morning.
But 30? Okay. I think that's good for now.
Okay.
Thanks. So I think we're going to open it up to public comment now, right? No other comments? Questions come? Any more questions? Comments are coming up. Okay, so we're going to open it up for public comment. If you want to make a public comment, you have to turn in a card. Does everybody have the cards? No? You'll want to grab a card, put your name down on it, and then get in line. I think you're going to have, how much time are we giving them? 2 minutes each to talk. I mean, while we're doing that, can we, Commissioner has a question of staff while that's going on. Why don't you go ahead?
I had a question about the recommendation paragraph and the statement that staff would recommend that we would find this project exempt from CEQA. I'm wondering why, when it has a lot of environmental issues and parking, traffic, all of those, the height, all of those things could be an impact.
Yeah, so there are no environmental issues, and this was evaluated by not only planning staff, the city engineer, the building official. So we've looked at everything, and if I need to go down, the infill CEQA exemption essentially asks, is the project consistent with the zoning and general plan? Yes, it is. It's a multifamily development, and that's allowed in the zoning. And is the parcel less than 5 acres? Because that would then qualify it for an exemption under infill development. This is I believe, 1.4 acre parcel. There's existing utilities on site. There is no habitat for endangered species because there's existing development on site. So these are all the criterias, and the one that you're probably most curious about is, are there any significant effects to traffic, air quality, or noise? So that was evaluated, and again, this will be presented in more depth in the Planning Commission staff report. But just if you want to know just the significant traffic impacts, I did get some information from the traffic engineer, and the project has 11 trips. The proposed would be 34, so that's a total of 23 net new trips. In order for a project to be considered like a substantial increase, it would need at least 110 net new trips, which would then, net, yeah, 110 net, yeah, at peak hours, correct. Thank you for the clarification.
So is that trips per hour?
Correct.
Peak hour.
Yeah, peak hour,
hour.
yeah.
Okay.
The worst case scenario, like the busiest time.
I should also say that what Sim's representing there is a CEQA exemption class 32 for an infill exemption. And the infill exemption specifically has those items in it. There's 5 tests. And the ones that include impacts don't include all the impacts that are on the initial study list. It only includes those 5 that she listed: traffic, noise, habitat, yeah, et cetera. And we found to have 0 to meet that test.
And that's quantitative, right? It's not qualitative? So like, when you're talking about number of trips, that's an actual set number of trips, right? It's codified more or less. I mean, at least there's standards for that in,
There's absolutely standards for that.
yeah. Okay. I'm sorry.
That criteria, the generation is low and not considered significant for it to then be subject to further environmental reviews.
Okay, I kind of talked over you. Anything else? No? Okay, so how about some public comments? Let's start coming up. Who will be first? Please give your card to Simmer.
Good evening. My name's Rob Rutan. I've been a longtime resident of Walnut Creek, about 33 years. Coached high school lacrosse at Las Lomas. I go down Sierra every day. It's a great design. I liked what I saw. I especially liked the comparison from San Francisco. My number one concern is parking. But having seen the design and see the very narrow 1.4 acre spot it's going in, I can only tell you that I'm glad you didn't put 178 units in there. But I'll tell you, to me, I'm looking at that image right there. That image is really not that accurate. This is an incredibly narrow plot of land. And you're putting a 6-story, 87 unit that really does not match much of what else is going on there. And that's a big concern of mine. After 33 years in Walnut Creek, I care about one thing: the quality of life in this town. I'm also very much an advocate of affordable housing. I think it's fantastic. I'm ignorant of all the different laws that have been passed to provide those opportunities for affordable development, especially in Walnut Creek. But I've got a huge problem with the narrowness and the size of this property for a 6-story building, number one. And number two, I think we're on a slippery slope. I've seen other developments go up that have parking 50% of what the units are going to be. And I think that's irresponsible and only is going to lead to future issues. To build an 87-unit, 6-story building with how many parking spots? 62, 58? I think it's irresponsible. That street is incredibly busy, and it's congested already. I travel it up and down every day. There's people pulling out all the time. It's only going to aggravate that whole situation. So it's a great design. I appreciate you guys doing this. I just don't think it fits here on Sierra, and hopefully you consider that seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up.
Hi, my name is Matt Dooling, live on Bradley Avenue also, neighbor of Rob's. We moved here about 15 years ago from the city, and one of the reasons is to get away from high density. It's a great neighborhood, but going back to him, parking is huge. I drove down Walnut. I don't know if you can see this, but this is at 3 o'clock today. I mean, not 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock. That's every day, and that's actually nothing. That doesn't happen. It goes all the way to Sierra and all the way around, as you all know. It goes, I mean, every single day. How much is this going to add to that? I mean, Walnut, I can't even leave my house between 3 and 5. I can't make a right on Ignacio. I can't go straight. So I have to go that way, right? So parking and, like you said, I do like the design. I like affordable housing, but just me driving here about a half hour ago, I went around downtown and there was probably, I mean, Putter's Putt Putt, that's been empty for how long? 10 plus years. I mean, there's 201 Civic, North Civic. There's so many different empty lots that are sitting around just for parking with an empty building in it. I mean, these are all closer to downtown too. So, I mean, parking and traffic are going to be crazy. So I want to, I mean, there's nothing really you can do about the height. I don't know. I guess your hands might be tied, but parking and the traffic will be nuts. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Excuse me. My name's Steve Lawler. We own the property at 172 Sierra Drive, which is directly next door to the project they're proposing. And I totally agree. The project is beautiful and the design is great. The issues are obvious. There's 29 units right now with 30 spaces. There's going to be 89 units with 50 some odd. Triple the people, triple the visitors, triple the traffic on a road that's impacted. Took me 30 minutes this morning to drive from my property to Ignacio Valley Road. That is 5/10 of a mile. It's getting to the point where I have trouble renting to people down there. No parking, no access, can't get in and out. I guess we got to decide what we want the city to be. I totally agree with affordable. It's affordable now. It's been Section 8 since we've owned the property. And there's issues, but not major, and ones we've got to accept. Living in Walnut Creek, we can't just be, Walnut Creek. We have to be good to the whole area. But a triple in the population in one building, 6 stories towering over my property. It already has a 7-foot elevation change. Their property is 7 feet higher than mine right now. So it's going to greatly affect the value of our property, and it's going to greatly affect the quality of life in Walnut Creek. And not just for the people that live on Sierra, for everybody that decides that's the way to go through town. And we all know everybody does it. And you drive on the other side of Walnut, and they've got the signs up, we'll give you a ticket if you drive through here, which we know is just, performative art, but that's how bad it is over there. We're twice as bad, and we will be 4 times as bad. We just built another property there. How many units went in on Walnut? Crammed in a little court. Used to be 1 house, now it's 8. We can't keep doing this in that area. Do it all over, but not just in one area. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Who's next?
Hi, good evening. My name is Richard Torres. I live at Sierra Garden Apartments. Been there for 25 years, and I feel it is an aging complex. It does need to be rebuilt because there's always something going wrong. We need people coming by to fix it. Not all the time everyone's available to fix things. And looking at this, I think it's very nice. And I can see these other guys concerned about the parking and that and traffic. But, in the same token, we also need these kind of things for affordable, because I live on a fixed income, and so we need this sort of thing. And I think this is great that Walnut Creek has this type of thing. And my concerns is guest parking. I don't know if this complex will have guest parking or not, but hope it does, because I've guessed they always have to park in the street, and the street on Sierra Drive is very hard to find parking spaces because there's way too many red zones there. So I'm hoping that this new building will have guest parking. But overall, like I said, coming from a resident that lives there, I think it's a great location. It's nice and quiet. It's sort of hidden behind there. And I just want to say I think it's what it's doing very well. And I can see these guys' idea too about parking and traffic, and that might be a concern. But overall, I see really nothing wrong with having this place rebuilt, because it does need it. Because like I said, I've been there 25 years, and the place is going to start falling apart because it needs to be redone. and the plumbing and everything, and it's old. I mean, I don't know when these places were built, but they're obviously antiques. So I just wanted to state the fact that I think this project will be a big boon to us affordable housing people. Thank you.
Thanks. Next.
My name is Jan Hansen. We live at 30 Settlers Mill Court in Walnut Creek. It's in the neighborhood. We've been here for about 20 years. I certainly appreciate the fact that it's very nicely outlined project. The building is beautiful, and that I kind of agree with the previous speakers with their comments. Our main concern is the height of the building, to be honest, because there's a lot of private homes around, including ours. This building is quite a bit higher than everything in the neighborhood. The condos across, I believe, are only 3 stories, like 3 or 4 stories. So I see the need for affordable housing, of course, and the fact that the buildings that are there now are quite old. I'm just afraid that such a tall building will create a certain degree of invasion of privacy for the neighboring homes, because, you know, like pretty much all the backyards will be exposed, you know. That's my main concern, but the project otherwise looks nice, and I think they did a great job. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, my name is Leo Bate. I live across the street from the proposed development. My concern is the same as everyone else with traffic and parking. I also saw that traffic was backed up to Sierra today from WCI. I went to WCI myself and Las Lomas. The parking in that area is already impacted. I live in that area. When I give my guest parking, my personal parking away to a guest, I have to circle the block. This takes me sometimes upwards of half an hour. I'd also like to remind people that kids go into WCI, kids go into Las Lomas, they walk this. I see it every single day. So I think it's very irresponsible to put 3 times as many units and twice as the amount as parking when the parking is already messed up. We love affordable housing. We love to welcome new people to the town. However, this place, it's already impacted. The infrastructure can't take it already. I think that the proposal would not work. The concession that's being asked is not just of the city. It's also from me in perpetuity. That's it.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Hi, my name is Lihi. I live with my husband and our 3 kids, 9, 7, and 6, at 70 McGuire Drive. And the complex building is in our backyard. So we know our neighbors because they see our backyard, and we get to say hello to them when we're outside, and when we're out in the pool. And this is a 3-story building, and it's already shading the entire backyard. Obviously, whatever they said is very important, but I'm coming from a personal. We bought this house. We invested a lot of money in remodeling this house, and if there is a 6-story complex building outside our backyard, we will not get any sun. It will literally shade the entire house. Not only the fact that it's going to take, 2 years to build at least, we will be living in a construction zone. Dust and pollution and noise. So for us, it's a complete disaster. We bought this house a year ago. 2 years ago, we moved a year ago after remodeling. We built a pool 3 months ago. We just finished the pool 2 weeks ago. I just want to show you pictures just so you can understand how close this is. This is from our backyard. I don't know if you can see on closer, but this is the complex building right now. So this is my backyard, and this is the building. This is how close. This is my pool. This is the complex building. So I am the most affected from this building. And I'm just thinking, we just bought the house. Who's going to want to rent it from us if we decide not to live there because of the construction? Who's going to want to buy this house from us if we decide to sell it one day? So I'm hoping this is something you will take under consideration because it's devastating to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? No more comments? Okay, so let's go on to commissioner comments.
Response.
Oh, wait.
Hang on. I think it's 10 minutes.
Okay. Sorry. You guys want to go ahead and respond? Does the applicant wish to respond?
Hello, I was just going to respond to you when you asked about CEQA. There's also a new law, AB 130, that recently passed that exempt any housing project that is less than 20 acre from any CEQA review. So that was passed after the application went in.
Thanks.
Is it possible you could go to our slide deck? I have a slide about parking in the end. Thank you. I think it's like the very last one. Oh, okay. I hate when people read from slides, but essentially there's several studies that show that the biggest determinant of how many cars you own is a mix of income and how much space you have to store the cars. Yeah, and then the neighborhood has amenities right there. There's like a Safeway right there. Not that that means you don't need to own a car, but I think.
Isn't the property currently low-income housing? Would these same rules would apply?
No back and forth.
Can't make comments. Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
That's it? No other response from you guys? Okay, so let's open it up for commissioner comments then. Go ahead.
You guys always make me start. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the landscape plan. So maybe if we can pull that up, that would be helpful. So I appreciate that there's a lot of landscape areas. I think that's nice. What goes through my mind with these kind of projects is that it's almost the responsibility of the site to replace the resident's backyard, right? So that's why I asked about if there's barbecue features and stuff. I do like that there is a garden. I'm gonna get nitpicky for a minute. I think the circulation around the site is a little bit circuitous, and so that has me kind of like, all right, so you wanna go to your garden. Is there gonna be an easy way to get to it and get your vegetables? It looks like you kind of have to go through the community area, and it's like implied that that's fenced in this graphic, but I'm not really sure. Yet the white sidewalk that's like the perimeter pathway kind of goes into that central area. Anyway, I'm sure there's a plan and these things are just early days, but I want it to be a little more obvious how you move through the space and get from one end to another. I also had a similar reaction on the Sierra Drive frontage. That pathway is also kind of circuitous. Like if you just want to get to the street, because fewer people in this development are going to have cars, right? I think that's our goal. So maybe they're walking to Safeway or WCI or whatever's nearby. I think they might want to just get to the sidewalk. So I would also love it if there was like something other than stormwater at that front area. I'm not sure what. Maybe it like just feels a little bit more like an amenity because that tends to look a little ratty and gnarly over time. I was impressed that it's all impervious or pervious parking or paving. That's kind of cool. I did appreciate the fire diagram that helped me understand the layout a little bit better. I don't know if the pool in the back corner makes a ton of sense. Maybe it wants to be closer to the building. I don't know. I clearly just have some thoughts about like the arrangement and programming of the landscape that I think could use a little more refinement. Where else are my notes? The height of the building, like when I opened the plans, was like really surprising. So I understand the density. For me, it actually feels, I'm glad people like it visually. It feels a little urban for me. Like I like the diagram of the organicness, but I didn't see that totally translate to the building. So I think the building in and of itself is nice, but I'm not sure that it really goes with the area. So we've kind of got the height working against us, and then the style also feels a little bit differentiated from anything else I've seen around. I'm okay with architecture changing and evolving, so I don't want it to be the same boxes that you see everywhere. So I appreciate that it was different, but I'm not sure if it's feeling like soft enough or intimate enough. I don't know the right words. Maybe Phil can help me, but there's something like I just had a reaction when I saw it, so I figured I would say it out loud. I wonder if I just have to pontificate about parking a little bit, because I always talk about having fewer parking spots, and I think maybe encouraging people to be less dependent on cars is a good thing. So I'm just going to say out loud, maybe you are advertising and like honest, like, hey, you know, because we're so close to downtown, we want to let you guys know that we have minimal parking, and that is how we keep your rates low, or whatever it may be, so that people, when they move into this property, kind of understand that that's part of the commitment. It was just an idea, because I actually live really nearby and I walk everywhere. It's great. That doesn't mean I don't have a car and I don't park into my driveway, so I recognize that barrier, but I think maybe encouraging it to be walkable and bikeable and less car dependent is a really good move, and I like that. I do feel conflicted about the height impacting and shading the neighbors. That's hard. I'm not sure the solution. And I think that's it. Thanks.
Next up.
So I too like the sort of the concept that drove the design of the building, and really appreciate that in the reference to the beauty that is Walnut Creek. I also felt like it really stood out in this space. So while in and of itself, it's an interesting building and it's aesthetically nice, the amount of white seems to be pretty glaring when looking at sort of the color scheme of the rest of the neighborhood. So like Commissioner Case said, it's trying to figure out how to be progressive, but also maybe reflect a little bit of the neighborhood that this building is existing in. For me as well, with going to the landscaping, it would be, so like in the front, in just looking at this diagram or looking at the renders, I think that if the denser the landscape can be, the higher the trees can be. Plants are, as we know, like a really good way of softening things, especially when something is new to an environment. So I would really recommend that really going into that trees. I think even in the landscape plan there says play area amongst trees as part of the conceptual landscape imagery. Walnut Creek's really hot, so the more trees there are, the denser those trees are planted, the more that the children it can actually be that place for play and that. So I would really recommend kind of pushing on that side, and as much as possible, choosing those trees on the plant list that will get to the highest heights, and putting in those specimens, you know, the larger specimens. I think here we're talking 36-inch boxes, 24-inch boxes, 15 gallons, maybe going up from that as far as tree size goes for those initial plantings.
Thank you. So, next.
My comment relates to this surrounding neighborhood and the neighbors. I would encourage you, if you haven't done it yet, to do a shade study. And because you have different setbacks now, because the buildings that are existing are in different places than this one will be, it might be a bigger and it might be a smaller impact on your direct neighbors. So I don't know if you've done that yet, but I would consider it before you go to Planning Commission.
That's it? I think I agree with that comment a lot. I think that I think it's clear the neighbors in some ways understanding the design a bit might help alleviate some of those concerns. I think I'm the sole architect here. I'll tell you that I'm a big fan of affordable housing. I think that I'm also a big fan of David Baker. I went to Berkeley, know the work. And I appreciate your being here, and I appreciate the application. I appreciate the fact that you could have had 178 units, and you're restrained in that way. I'm going to say that this application is very different than the other ones we've seen since the state mandates came into effect. This is very different, and I'd say the real positive of this design is the amount of open space that you provided, as opposed to, but as you can see, and we should all pay attention to this comes at a price, right? So when you want this density, the density could be higher. They were restrained, but it comes at a cost. You have to have 6 stories to get to have the economics work, I suppose. I see play areas and stuff that we just haven't seen in the other applications like this. So I basically applaud you guys for doing that. I'd say nonetheless, starting from the outside, you may check the boxes in terms of environmental review, but there are very serious environmental issues with this site. Mr. Rattan, who lives across the street, he's not just a lacrosse coach. He was my son's lacrosse coach. So these are people that you guys are all our neighbors, and we're concerned about it. And we have walked down this street, Sierra Drive. I've done it myself. I've dropped my kids off at WCI. I've turned that corner at Sierra to try to pick up a couple of minutes going to work. These are very serious things that you have to think about. And by the way, folks, we are not voting on this tonight. We have had our authority to vote on these projects taken away because this is state mandate. So there's nothing that we can do to stop the project. All we can do is encourage the Planning Commission to look and do what they have to do. So the number one thing is parking and traffic. We need to be sure that it is exempt. I don't know what that means. I think it means more work for staff, and I'm sorry about that, but this will have a profound impact on parking in this neighborhood. There already is not enough parking. I've circled myself going around in this area. I ride my bike down the street. Every parking spot is taken, and where these people are going to park, I don't know. I do think over time people will have less cars, and I'd say it is a little bit taking a little bit of Berkeley or San Francisco out of some of the great projects that have been done there and trying to drop it here. Well, unlike a place like Berkeley where there has never been parking kind of works here. So you kind of have to bring people along. So I just encourage some more thought work around that to the extent that it can be done. I'd say that building, when you think about this, you're taking a community where they're used to parking cars, and you're trying, I know there'll be new people coming outside of the community. That's what we hope, right, is we can have people who can work in our businesses and afford to live here. But still, people need to be trained and brought along to have less parking. So another question is there going to be enough bike parking? If people are not going to have cars, this is not downtown Berkeley where you can walk 2 blocks to the BART station. I have walked, my office is a mile away from here. I've walked from my house. I know it's a full mile to BART from here. So there has to be enough bike parking. There absolutely should be some accommodation for loading for people to drop off, because they're not going to walk to BART. They're going to take Ubers and other things. So that needs to be thought about. Hopefully people are going to work downtown, but we know most of the people who live in Walnut Creek don't work there. And we're not building high-rise office buildings anytime soon. So I encourage you to look at loading. I encourage you to look at any other kind of traffic impacts that you can. I appreciate that many of you said the building was beautiful. I think it's very different than what we have here in Walnut Creek. But this kind of density calls for that. I'd say, nonetheless, because it's my job to comment on design, I'd say, I like the variegated siding. I've seen it used on other buildings. I think that's nice. I think there's too much white. I think it could be broken down a little further, like some of the other examples that you'd shown out of Dave Baker's office. I think you could break it down a little bit further. And I think when you guys do go to the Planning Commission, because you're going there, make sure maybe you have site sections, shade studies, and so forth that can maybe mitigate some of the community's concerns, because I think the design answers some of those questions. I think you could have had much tighter setbacks than you had, for sure. I mean, if you were at 178 units, which you could have been, you would have had this density all the way up to the property lines and less parking, all of which you could have done. So I appreciate that. I think that's what I have. Anything else? Go ahead.
I've got a few. I have a list.
Okay.
I think we can run down these. I think I know how this is going to end, but we'll just go through and see if we can reach consensus on some of these items. From Commissioner Case, there was circuitous pathways. Address those both in the front and the rear, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And while you're out at the front, take a look at that C3. And was the issue that there was all the C3 in the front, or was it just the front was all C3?
Both.
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 Okay. Address that. The pool is already there.
Ah,
Yeah. Okay.
noted.
I had the same comment.
Great.
Address the building to be more organic or to more reflect the vision. I heard that from a couple commissioners. Address that. Maybe look at the white. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe tone down the color palette a little bit in that section. Yeah.
Define what you mean by organic. Try to make it actionable.
It's sharp, like except for the rounded tree trunk silo elements, everything is very sharp.
Could we go to the slide where it shows the full, there we go.
Yeah, that's good.
I believe Commissioner Case used the word urban.
Yeah. So I think that in blending with the trees and blending with the hills and blending with it, it's, the brown tones are really nice. The green tone is nice. And maybe incorporating more within that range. So more of the green tones, different shades of the brown tones. I like that it's not this like what we've seen a lot of where it's these funny boxes and they're in these yellows and oranges, and it's nice that it's in those natural tones, but bringing down the white and incorporating more of the greens and browns and maybe even some organic grays.
I think that there's a slide and a page in the presentation that shows the inspiration for that organic, and thank you.
There.
So I echo all of their comments. That's why I didn't make them again. But where you see like the fiber cement that almost looks wood or something like that, that could, as they said, be more organic would be helpful.
And I look at this and like the canopy leaves, there's more like perforation at the base, which I know happens in that central area, but that's actually like recessed. You know, it feels like the jewel of it is kind of that netted central piece, but it's tucked in. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the balance, I think that's a good point. I think the balance of, I think the detailed materials that they're showing are great. I think they should turn up the volume a little bit on those things. I don't like the white, I like white buildings, but I think here in Walnut Creek, it's beyond just the fact that it doesn't fit. I mean, we have a lot of bugs and spider webs and stuff. It shows a lot on the white. That's why. I have a white house. My wife wanted to paint white. We're constantly out there with a broom wiping everything down. You're not going to wipe down 6 stories. Next.
Okay, so I think we've settled out. Also, shade study? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe on that corollary, show at the Planning Commission, show the, like sectionally, how far away it is from various property lines.
Okay.
Can we back up for 1 sec?
Yep.
Go to those elevations one more time. Go to the other elevation, the opposite elevation. That one, I think, needs more work than the more exposed one. That's going to be right up against the other property lines. So all elevations. The 2 long elevations, the front and back, I think, are fine.
Got it.
Keep rolling then.
Okay, and then there is also discussion of bike parking and loading zone, which is site improvements. They're required to have bike parking, and it's a pretty big number. It's probably inside, but there might be some outside parking for visitor parking as well. I'm surprised there's not on here, but I would bet that it's programmed. Correct? Yeah. Yeah.
60.
Okay, and then we can take a look at the loading issue.
I think you got to make, when you present a plan, you're going to need to make a better case of how all this can work,
I worry though, like loading, I don't know. I feel like it's hard for us to say we need loading, but also say we don't have enough parking. It's like so we'll have to give up a parking spot for loading for the Uber and Amazon, or do we just they block it for a few minutes and then they go? I don't know. The loading didn't bother me. It was just the one thing I was like, okay.
But what about when people are moving in and out? Don't they need the loading then?
But doesn't that seem like maybe 2 days out of 365? You know what I mean? Like if we're that hard pressed for parking, it seems like loading is one of the first things I would vote to.
I mean, I don't think I get it on the 1 or 2 parking spaces. I think really just consider the actual alternatives people are going to have to use as opposed to driving, right? So like if it's not a loading zone, fine, but there's going to be 30 Ubers in this lot every day or more. People are going to, they're not going to want to walk home. It's a rainy day. It's going to be nuts. Yeah. Well, Kenny? Yeah.
Yeah, we're done.
So just to be clear, the loading we're asking for is a truck loading area, so it's like 30 feet. It's for big trucks.
Oh, okay, thanks.
What really happens with Uber? I think they're gonna drive into the driveway, drop off the passenger, or pick them up, and then use the fire turnaround to turn around and then go back.
So too.
So and then with the bike parking, we were thinking about providing more, but our experience has been, if you have a nice park, you just
bring it to your unit.
You take it to your unit. Yeah. So
I mean, you got to sell this to the Planning Commission.
Yeah. No,
These are things you're going to want to talk about. That's
okay.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah.
Okay, I think did I miss anything?
I mean, my additions of the density of the plantings and the height of the plantings.
So would that mean more trees or just more everything?
I think more trees. So I really do appreciate the amount of open space and green space and places for for residents to be outside. Agreeing also with Commissioner Case that this is probably still in development. So, how people will use that space will be developed. But in general, I think that more trees and taller trees will make this feel more settled in the neighborhood.
And marrying to that comment, so, I mentioned site sections. Drawing site sections, putting trees in the appropriate locations where the views of this will be blocked and the views to the neighbors can be blocked, because I think the gift of this site plan is there's a lot of room to incorporate.
Right.
To incorporate more screening somehow. And it doesn't all have to be right up against the property line. It can be brought back, but there is space to do more screening.
The more trees in the common areas, correct?
Yeah, or even, and then, I mean, if you're looking at this plan, even along, along the south side where that, the driveway is and if we're looking at this slide at that bottom row there, those are residential homes that are directly affected, so.
In the rear, in the back.
Back.
That's adjacent to that is our R8 neighborhood. Everything else is higher density multifamily.
Yeah, so you can see there is a planting bed there. So there is that opportunity to really create screening with something that's inexpensive and easy to maintain.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Also, the comment was made about the usability of the space for the residents and the tot lot and how hot it gets here. And so the trees relate to that as well. That there needs to be space for children and families to gather and not get cooked.
Okay, I think we're there.
All right.
Okay, that's the end of that item, so close the public hearing. So next up is commissioner considerations. This portion of the agenda is for items not required to be publicly noticed, but were formal staff presentation. What, anything?
Well, either for item 5 or 6, but the next meeting on 9/17 will have one item. It's going to look at a mixed-use building on Mount Diablo. I think that will also be presented by Ms. Gill. We will also have a guest secretary that night, as the secretary will be out of state. And that'll be Crystal DeCastro. I think you've met Crystal. She's our principal long-range planner. No. Okay. That's all I got.
And when is our next science meeting? Do we have one?
I do not think we have any scheduled.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, and it was brought up earlier about the item tonight going to sign sub, but it was just so minor.
Right.
That I'd figure why have 2 meetings for that?
No, it's really
Yeah, okay.
Cool. Commission member or staff reports or announcements? None?
I won't be at the second October meeting. Just heads up.
I won't either.
Who said
I'll be in France, I think.
Oh,
2nd October meeting?
mm-hmm.
We won't have one.
And that'll be you, Karen?
I'm gone as of the 13th.
Me too.
All right, let me get this straight.
I won't be here for the first one.
Okay, so there's a meeting on October 15th. That's the only meeting.
That's the one. That's the one I'm missing.
You'll be absent.
I will, and so will Commissioner Basing.
Okay, so we will not have a quorum that night. Correct. We have 2 items on that agenda, so we'll just have to move those. Was that the only date we were talking about? October?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that the second October one? So
I'm
there's not
not
a
back
first one?
till November.
We have a
13th.
meeting November 5th.
I will not make that one. Sorry.
You will not make
I'm
that
gone a
one.
month.
Good for you.
In France.
I'm
that
retired
sounds
now.
Fantastic.
We really need to coordinate all
Commissioner
our
Riley,
vacations.
did I hear you were gonna be absent some meetings?
Yeah.
No, I was opening my calendars to make sure.
Okay.
But I think I'm fine.
Okay. Commissioner Newsom? Since we're
Well,
scheduling,
is
Well-
October 1st of the meeting?
there is a September 17th, October 15th, and November 5th.
So there isn't the first one in October.
That was my,
And that'll be
Yeah.
the only, I think that's the only meeting in November because of the holiday.
Can we move the 15th to the 1st so we're here for it?
October
Sorry,
1st,
guys.
I
Thank
can't-
you.
Sorry,
Thank
I
you.
can't do October
Thanks.
1st. That was gonna be, I was like, well, I'm just making sure because
I'm out of town from September.
So we wouldn't be able, yeah, so we can't do
October 10th.
October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like, so October 15th, 1st and the 3rd.
Oh my gosh. Can you take me?
what a special. And I'm sure he loves France
my
because it's
gosh.
all about the little dog.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. It's amazing.
And there is no October 1st meeting because of a holiday,
Great.
okay? And then there is no second November meeting because of
A holiday.
a holiday.
What's October 1st?
Although, I'm not sure that November 18th is out yet. It just hasn't made it to this calendar. So there might be a meeting on that.
November 19th.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the 19th, yes, there might be one then.
I think you just need to load it up.
Just load it up, Chip.
Okay,
Figure it out.
Howard,
Are we coming with the other commissioner? Is there any applicants?
I have zero news for you.
Okay. Are we done? Did you close it?
Yes,
we need it.
you want to bang the hammer?
Adjourned.
Thank you.